Hi, this is John Barber, and this is the next in the series of the Garrison Files release. This is the release of the files of Fred Lee Chrisman. When I interviewed Jim Garrison in 1981 and asked him if he were Attorney General who he would arrest first, the first name he said was Fred Lee Chrisman. And the reason for this is that when he arrested Clay Shaw, the very first person that Clay Shaw called was Fred Lee Chrisman, meaning to Jim Garrison that Chrisman was probably Clay Shaw's handler and superior. He was deeply, deeply entrenched with the Central Intelligence Agency, so deeply so that he had secret security clearance to all the nuclear bases in the United States. And prior to the assassination, he made frequent trips from Tacoma to Dallas and to New Orleans. And when Jim Garrison convened his grand jury, he indeed called Fred Lee Chrisman, who again denied that he was involved with the Central Intelligence Agency. But he was so deeply involved that years later, when they set up the House Select Committee on Assassinations, two of the lead investigators demanded all of the CIA files on Chrisman. They were denied one single file, and they were so disgusted they resigned from the House Select Committee on Assassinations. For more detailed information on how deeply involved an operator that he was with the Central Intelligence Agency, I suggest you go to this book, A Farewell to Justice. You will be shocked and astonished at what you're going to learn about what Jim Garrison called this very evil operator. As a matter of fact, some of Garrison's assistants thought that Fred Lee Chrisman was one of the tramps. Garrison wasn't quite so sure about that. The other astonishing thing that I discovered in reading these files and going through them was a book by Richard Sprague. Richard Sprague was the first person assigned to investigate and solve the murder of John Kennedy when the House Select Committee was set up. As a matter of fact, he said publicly, we are going to solve this crime because we are not going to hire CIA or FBI. We are going to investigate them. Whereupon the 400 CIA assets discovered by Senator Frank Church in the media and in the government ganged up on Sprague and got rid of him and replaced him with that hack, G. Robert Blakey, who said it was the mafia who killed the president. This book, astonishingly, is free online. I suggest you read it and learn how the Central Intelligence Agency murdered our president and how Richard Sprague supports and proves Jim Garrison's case. Good luck. See you soon.
Born in a military family. My father was a high-ranking officer of the Soviet Army General Staff, inspector of land forces, stationed outside of USSR in every quote-unquote brotherly country or liberated country of the world. I graduated from Oriental Studies Institute, affiliated to Moscow State University in 1963. I started working with Novosti Press Agency, the biggest propaganda and ideological subversion organization of USSR, which is directly under KGB. Ostensibly, it's a public news agency. Novosti in Russian language means news, but there are no news. It's mainly propaganda. My first job was a translator with Economical Aid Group in India. We were building refineries and other industrial projects in public sector, socialist sector of India. My last job was press officer of the Soviet embassy in New Delhi. I defected in 1970, landed in Canada, worked for several years as a producer of Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, overseas service in Russian language, similar to Voice of America. Then I was teaching at University of Toronto, Political Science Department, McGill University Slavic Studies, and School of Journalism, Ottawa, in Carleton University in Ottawa. Last year, I joined a small Russian language publishing house here in Los Angeles, and now I'm a political analyst for weekly Panorama newspaper. Lumumba University language instruction was my so-called extracurricular activity, which is usually given to Soviet young communists as a non-paid job to prove loyalty to the party. I was instructing students from Asia, Latin America, and Africa before they entered an ideological indoctrination class. It was mainly Russian language instruction, after which the students usually joined 2-year or 3-year extensive course in Marxist-Leninist ideological indoctrination, plus their own subjects of their choice, medicine, physics, chemistry, whatever. If after 5 or 6 years studying, they are proven to be, well, flexible, loyal, cynical enough to follow the Soviet foreign policy, they are being transferred to a KGB school for a period of 2 years, after which they are being dispatched back to their native countries and become so-called sleepers. The word originated from sleeping. For several years, they sleep in their own countries doing nothing. Sometimes they're pursuing their own careers, become lawyers, doctors, teachers, taxi drivers, barbers, and they spring into action after many years of destabilization of their own countries as Soviet agents. Therefore, all of a sudden, you discover well-established lawyers in a country like Nicaragua, who are, for some strange reason, are bitterly against quote-unquote American imperialism and idealistically for Soviet Marxist-Leninist imperialism. I joined Novosti Press Agency before I graduated from the Oriental Studies Institute, where I studied Hindi and Urdu, 2 languages of Indian subcontinent. Urdu is the language of Pakistan and Hindi is the language of India. The journalistic part of my training was ordinary journalism, mass media, communication theories and studies. Together with that, we had a very extensive training in military, civil defense, intelligence, and ideological subversion. So even before I graduated, I started working with Novosti Press Agency, first as a translator, interpreter, and guide with foreign delegations who were invited to USSR and who were shown all the beauties of socialism and dispatched back to their countries to explain to their people how beautiful is socialism. My role was directly linked with KGB activities of brainwashing and psychological assessment of these guests. If they showed any sign of flexibility, which means they showed that they were recruitable, I passed them over to professional KGB recruiters, and from there on they were actively being involved in ideological subversion and propaganda, both in USSR and in their own countries. Well, decision of course was very painful and difficult. But on the other hand, I didn't have any illusions or allusions about the Soviet system and communist or socialist system. It's the most rotten and unworking system in the world. Some people call it state capitalism, socialism, centralized planning, whatever. It doesn't really matter what kind of name you attach to the system. Basically, if you're a religious person, it's a devilish, satanistic system which appeals only to the most primitive, negative side of human nature.
Yeah, it can't get any rougher than that kind of noise, my friend. Oh no, don't cup the mic like that, man. Stop it. What are you doing? I don't know. Yuri, he's still on YouTube. He hasn't been taken off. For those who spread the rumor, I'm sorry somebody's video disappeared. Maybe you can't search it anymore. I don't know. But not all news is accurate news. North, east, west, and south. You're listening here at 102.3 FM, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia. Yuri Bezmenov, full interview and lecture from headquarters. Man, he is so right about this, though.
People, how beautiful is socialism. My role was directly linked with KGB activities of brainwashing and psychological assessment of these guests. If they showed any sign of flexibility, which means they showed that they were recruitable, I passed them over to professional KGB recruiters, and from there on they were actively being involved in ideological subversion and propaganda, both in USSR and in their own countries. Well, flexible, loyal, cynical enough to follow the Soviet foreign policy. They are being transferred to a KGB school for a period of 2 years, after which they are being dispatched back to their native countries and become so-called sleepers. The word originated from sleeping. For several years, they sleep in their own countries doing...
See, he right here discussed how Vidman's... Fuck, man. The Purple Tie is so brazen that they stuck a sleeper cell red diaper baby being the one who started all this. He's our communist handler, man, Vidman. That son of a bitch showed up there in a United States Army uniform. Miley, what do you think of that? You know, Donald Trump, what do you think of that? Does he deserve the respect? I mean, that's a shot across the bow. He's not a whistleblower. None of them are. They're just a bunch of whiners who didn't like your policy. That's not whistleblowing. Having a disagreement. So if you disagree politically with a Republican and you're a bureaucrat, you can't be reprimanded because you're officially a whistleblower. Every single Democrat who is in the bureaucracy is calling themselves whistleblowers now. They're all whistleblowers. Woo woo, whistleblow. Monday, December 23rd, 2019. I like to date my stuff. I don't know why people don't date their stuff. I just don't get it. I like it. I like the mechanical ability of it. So I was sitting back this morning going, oh, I got to do a fire. I got mice to deal with. I've got plumbing to check again. I have screens cleaning out have to go on. I got to jostle farm equipment. I've got so much going on. And then I said, you know, I really should have a business card that says automator. That's what I am. I'm an automator. I make things happen. It seems almost automatic because you know it's going on in the background. But then also I create complex systems and implement them. And it doesn't. There's no limitation. Yeah. My favorite photographer, because of his personality. I don't look at his prints too often, but he knows what's going on. There we go. John Barber's World. I'll go ahead and subscribe. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. I think a lot of people's computers get too slow for the amount of notifications they want, and then they start to complain because they're not getting their notifications. I think it's their computer glitch. I don't think it's Google. I don't think they're being denied it. The reality is that you're requesting more data than your computers can handle. I mean, come on. I know people who have 100 tabs open and operate like that. No way. 100 tabs. I can't believe that. All right. Why Russia invincible? Dave, you're a funny guy, man. You work. He is truly somebody who tries, and he works hard. Proledictive programming. Proledictive. Proledictive. Proledictive programming. Predictive programming. Pro-LED programming. Pro-LED. Okay. Stranger Things at Mount Shasta. Shasta. Mount Shasta. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Truly am. Styx Hammer 666, man. You shouldn't have showed up to a gunfight with a knife. I don't even think you showed up with a knife. You showed up there no armor at all. Shouldn't have gone. That, or you should have just said, you know what, you convinced me, thanks. Or, yes, I understand how that is possible. Here's the technology behind it, but it's up to you to be able to fight it. That's it, you know. It's a spiritual warfare. Yeah. Spiritual warfare. I can't find it. Oh. He's got an X next to his name. The big fan weighs in. Is addiction to porn real? Well, who cares? My closing statement: you can still have a successful, fulfilling life, live, get married, and have lots of children despite the most horrendous assault on the institution of marriage this country has ever faced. Oh, yeah, well, it is war. They're gone. It's a free-for-all. It is truly a free-for-all. Ted Nugent. Right, Yuri? What do you think, Yuri?
Nothing. Sometimes they're pursuing their own careers. They become lawyers, doctors, teachers, taxi drivers, barbers. And they spring into action after many years of destabilization of their own countries as Soviet agents. Therefore, all of a sudden you discover...
Yeah, I see communists. I see rat bass Satanists, evil fuckers, purposely driving their trucks and causing backups. intentionally not passing another truck, the two of them paralleling. Yeah, I don't know, but I tell you what, all accidents are caused by semis. All semis cause big accidents. We just had one on 64 recently, going into Williamsburg.
Well-established lawyers in a country like Nicaragua who are
It was the sleeper cells. See, the communist sleeper cells were activating on the highways, and they drive trucks too. And they're intentionally causing trouble, trying to cause more stress and what have you. So, you know, through active iPhone 6, I'm cleaning Virginia up of trucks that don't know how to drive. I'm sorry, you're losing your license when you intentionally drive poorly. There's no excuse for it. You know, just because you have a low IQ doesn't mean it's okay to endanger people. Just not happening. And anybody following communism is low IQ, man. Low information, low IQ. Intelligence quota. You guys, crazy people, man. And this guy right here, he explains it all. He does it all, man. He says, hey, look, Trump's go-to. In other words, I'm going to just imagine if you walk through Costco or some mall or something and just, hey, point, wave, like Trump does. That's hilarious. So sleeper cells are activating. That's all going on. They've been activating for a long time. They really went into high gear when Hillary lost. That's when I would see, instead of catching one every once in a while now activated, I was catching 4 and 5 on every trip. At any time that I would go, they were just out of control. And these people can't. They're intentionally causing angst in the roadway. They're raising the temperature. Yeah. We lost a train over here at Harper's Ferry also. So that's two transportation follies just within the last week. Harper's Ferry train, I-64 backup. Makes me not want to get on the highway because I knew it's going to get worse and worse. Also, I think on Lobby Day here in Virginia, the sanctuary counties are going to freeze the highways. They have to. We have to. We have to take control. We have to say, look, go ahead and vote in what you're going to vote. We don't agree. Everything's stopping here in Virginia while you commit treason. We're just going to, Virginia freezes, go ahead and do your treason. Matter of fact, why don't we go the opposite direction and undo every gun law in Virginia? We'll start there because the Second Amendment means what it means. We have to prepare because we have sovereign states that are trying to hijack the whole nation. And we're not going to let you do that to Virginia. And now it's up to us to stand up here in Virginia and make sure it doesn't happen in the rest of the United States, the sovereign states. The ones that want to remain, I suspect that we're going to have a possible quiet separation of land. So that's got to be the. I just can't fathom seeing incineration. I just don't fathom that. But who knows? You know, you got people who will tell you that it's not real. Others will tell you that it was real. And I've heard stories all around that whole.
Well, for some strange reason, are bitterly against quote-unquote American imperialism and idealistically for Soviet Marxist-Leninist imperialism. I joined Novosti Press Agency before I graduated from the Oriental Studies Institute, where I studied Hindi and Urdu, two languages of Indian subcontinent. Urdu is the language of Pakistan and Hindi is the language of India.
That dude is doing everything he can to not explode. This is a red pill.
Graduated from the Oriental Studies Institute, where I studied Hindi and Urdu.
Purple, blue. Just looking at that audience and taking it in, man. You should do the same. Also, may I recommend you watch people talk with the volume off. That'll help too. It'll help give you understanding. So he says a big truth right here when he says that communism, or whatever name you want to give to it, does not matter. What it does is appeals to evil. And it's satanic. And you have to give yourself over to it. And they've done it. How many sitting here in the Commonwealth, that's the nickname. Been that for a long time. But Yuri's still on, man. Bezmenov, he's still here.
Urdu, two languages of Indian subcontinent. Urdu is the language of Pakistan and Hindi is the language of India. The journalistic part of my training was ordinary journalism, mass media, communication theories and studies. Together with that, we had a very extensive training in military, civil defense, intelligence, and ideological subversion. So even before I graduated, I started working with Novosti Press Agency, first as a translator, interpreter, and guide with foreign delegations who were invited to USSR and who were shown all the beauties of socialism and dispatched back to their countries to explain to their people how beautiful is socialism. My role was directly linked with KGB activities of brainwashing and psychological assessment of these guests. If they showed any sign of flexibility, which means they showed that they were recruitable, I passed them over to professional KGB recruiters, and from there on they were actively being involved in ideological subversion and propaganda, both in USSR and in their own countries.
Hey, Buckshot. Everybody was saying on the net, oh, Yuri, he's been deleted. Well, he has not. He stayed up the entire time. But I had to check. Got around to it finally yesterday. I was pretty happy. Yeah, he's still on. Most evil. I don't know if you caught me earlier, Buckshot, but I was lamenting over the fact that I live in the Commonwealth, and the only way that Lobby Day is going to be successful down in Richmond is if the sanctuary counties and the sheriffs go out and take control of the highways and freeze everything. Set up checkpoints. Say, hey, look, it's time for us to check you out. These checkpoints are going to be implemented because we have treason going on in Richmond possibly, and we're not going to allow anybody to go in there and cause a problem. So, welcome to the show. May I suggest that you go to Kentucky? We control the ocean, we control 95, we control 81, and we control 64. So, and then all the counties along the different lines are all sanctuary counties. So all those roads can be closed off, and we're just going to freeze Virginia for a little while until we sort out what's going to happen. You know, that probably will be peaceful, and it's not a gun check. We want to make sure that you have your gun. You have to be armed in Virginia. Virginia's a projectile state. We're in the state of projectiles, man. It says so in the Constitution of Virginia. It says we're a projectile state, and that has to conform. And the President of the United States must absolutely make sure we have a Republican form of government here in Virginia. So I expect Donald Trump to step up and agree with the sheriffs who decide to freeze Virginia for a little while. I don't think that the one place that might not be frozen is Arlington, because Arlington is technically a part of the Congress. And so they might, Fairfax County might just cut it off. Falls Church, I don't know what they'll do. It'll probably Falls Church is 100% Islam. It used to be 100% Catholic. Now it's 100% Islam. So with that in mind, the Catholics gave up Falls Church. Don't know why. His decision to defect. So Buckshot, you know that if things go kittywampus here in Virginia, that odds are it's going to go kittywampus up there in New York too. Are people talking about it in your part of the town? In your part of the world?
My next guest continues to fight endlessly for President Trump.
That's too bad, because they aren't talking. Yeah, in a way, I don't know if this is because there's nothing to talk about anymore. Okay, we have three. Okay, you're going to have to explain to me what a 3%er is. I don't know. That is something that, and a few other groups. I don't know what 3%ers are. I'd have to read about it. What is a 3%er? See, people talk, but they're very resigned. Yeah, everybody's still got to be making a living. We know that the confiscation's on its way, right? We know things are going to get sketchy here in a moment or two. Everything is sketchy up at the Congress. I was thinking, or also today, I was thinking that the people who are registered voters and have a Republican in there, and they have standing through their representative to bring a case against the decider, Nadler and Schiff and Pelosi, for what they've done. They have standing. They have standing to say that the impeachment is null and void. So I was thinking about that, and it was like, I got to call my guy, man. When in doubt, you got to call my guy.
and the truth amid this endless barrage of nonsense from the Democrats. Member of House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Matt Gaetz joins me now. All right, Congressman, thanks for being with us. So, you know, as all of this is unfolded, I want to look back before we look forward to the Senate and what's going to happen in the new year. But clearly, this impeachment, and Nancy Pelosi answered a press question and said, actually, that she's been working on impeachment for 2.5 years. So I guess she has pretty much admitted that this is not something that just came up because of Ukraine.
That's right, Judge. The radical left Democrats filled the stockings of their anti-Trump base with rumor and innuendo and ultimately impeachment. But the rest of America, we just got a lump of coal. We didn't get an infrastructure bill. We didn't get reform to our asylum systems because Nancy Pelosi has been planning this impeachment since the moment she took power. Matter of fact, Jerry Nadler, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, even campaigned to his fellow Democrats on the notion that he would be the person to bring us to this point. But the real question, Judge, is why Democrats failed to meet the standard they set for themselves. They promised us a bipartisan impeachment. In reality, the only bipartisan vote was a bipartisan vote against impeachment. They promised us that these hearings would animate a lot of public support for impeachment, and we haven't seen that either. The American people hate this, and if Congress continues it, they may end up hating us.
Well,
no, dude, you need to go back to your district and tell people that they have standing to bring suit against the Congress and have the judiciary declare the impeachment void because it didn't follow form. You know, have the parliamentarians speak to the issue. Let's hear their contorted jumping around in circles to decide that, hey, cutting off due process is okay. They didn't follow the parliamentarian rules. So the judiciary has to weigh in. So he brings in, so both sides present their parliamentarians to give their testimony, and then we roll forward from there. Is a parliamentarian actually just a lawyer? Nadler, Schiff. Some of the gaffes by those chairmen were so egregious that it was hard for the other side not to start laughing at the ridiculous and not of it all. Okay, Buckshot, I know what 3%ers are now. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. So 3%ers are somebody who uses the word 3%. Yeah, they're militia, huh? Far-right militia? Then I guess that means that there's far-left militia, too. But I don't think there really is so much far-left militia as there's far-left sleeper cells. Because, militia is every able-bodied man, regulated by the counties, and in Virginia, it's regulated from the counties up. So that was a good thing, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. Now, regulated doesn't mean registered. So those are two different things. And a regulated militia means that they have ways that they're supposed to operate. And they're supposed to have certain equipment at the ready and what have you. So, and if they're really smart, they're teaching them to be Swiss. I don't know about far right. I only know one guy in it. Well, in it. Look, everybody's in it. If you got a hunting club, you're in it. If you got a circle of friends, you're in it. So I know out in this area, everybody's got their own little club. I mean, they run around in cliques, and and they stomp on each other's radios on purpose, and they're always effing with each other. It never really, if it escalates, I do not know anything about the escalations. So, but anyway, Judge Jeanine, tell him that his constituents have standing to bring cause in federal court to stop the impeachments and declare them null and void because they didn't follow the rules. You know, who's the arbitrator of following the rules in Congress? Same arbitrator who makes sure that the administration follows the rules, right? Even though it's communist. Nadler should be disbarred. Schiff should be disbarred. Pelosi, she claims to be practicing medicine without a license. She knows she's a criminal. She's a criminal on so many levels. She understands what probably Buckshot knows, and what I know is that in America, Congress has identified the American people, U.S. citizens, as the enemy of the national security state. So she knows that the reason that they can take your guns in Virginia is because every person in Virginia has been declared and adjudicated already, so they have no rights under the 13th Amendment. They just didn't know that it was done in a star chamber. See, Donald Trump was star chambered, and when he tried to get to the bottom of the star chamber, they brought up the new star chamber. And they did it. They took the star chamber we all know about that occurred, and then they did another one in broad daylight with the Congress. So we have the star chamber manifesting itself in Congress, and now it's trying to manifest itself into the Senate. But I say no. I say no. No, Judge. Judge, you got to tell him. Will Judge Jeanine let this blue blood Republican, which I'm glad he's wearing blue, not red.
Well, in the end, I mean, they truthfully, I think Congress moved quickly toward the end of the year is simply because they realize that the support for impeachment is almost right now, especially among the independents and those in the middle, it is just declining day after day. So,
okay, well, that's not a solution. You got to give us a solution, babe. Judge Jeanine, I need a solution. Not a poll. See, this part right here makes me go, oh my God, Vince McMahon is really running my fucking life. Worldwide politics. Judge Jeanine should just sit there from the bench and said, you know, Congressman, every one of your constituents has standing in the Supreme Court at this moment because their due process has been trespassed on. This is a trespass. It was one party trespassing on the other party in Congress. Okay, well, you know what, Donald? If that's the case, every Republican within every Republican within your bureaucracy, you give them an executive order to arrest every Democrat and bring them to the stadiums for processing. They have to get ankle bracelets because if they don't get ankle bracelets, they're gonna roll out guillotines if they can. A final solution. Yeah, well, you know, there is no final solution until God returns. So, you know, that's God on earth. And they're trying to go for a final solution. So, you know, you're kidding, but you're kidding not. You're not kidding. Because Ray Kurzweil wants to upload his mind, and that's going to be the final solution, right? Northam is heading towards a final solution. He's willing to take. He thinks he's got bodies to throw against the American people. Well, okay. I don't think the Chinese have any desire to waste their human capital on us. People buy into their ideology. Why are they gonna cause them angst? They'll have to keep it secret. That means whole breeding farms and captured people, and so then, maybe that's what's going on right now. They've got the Chinese army is 100% being blackmailed by the internal police of China, or the other part of the army that has got entire breeding communities held hostage. So they're allowed to live their lives, but their job is to breed soldiers. Then they take the children away and teach them to be mindless drones. God, I hope the fuck that's not going on. Because at that point, we're up against an ant colony. Ants don't care. Bees don't care. Wasps don't care. When the hormone is triggered to defend, it just goes to the end. And that would be a scary fucking goddamn proposition, because I don't know of any breeding colonies here in the United States of America that we're filling our military with, other than American dreams, coming out of the hills here. And they do believe in the freedoms, the ones that can use long arms. Now, what was interesting about Alex Jones yesterday is he had Matt Bracken on, and Matt Bracken brought to bear the point that everybody up in Virginia here is long guns, unlike other places where it's not long guns, it's handguns and what have you. And he pointed out, he said, look, why is it that we can't dominate Afghanistan? Why is Afghanistan corridoned off? The Afghanis have long guns. We have long guns. We have people with planes. We have people with helicopters. We have people with 50 cals with fully automatic shotgun shell shooters. People invent. I mean, me personally, I'm an automator. I make things happen. It looks automatic, and I can automate. I can automate anything I want to if I put my mind to it. I live in the greatest time known to me, where I don't have to fucking put on my boots and scarf, get in my car, and go to the library. I can literally sit in my fucking underwear and browse the library. I have the greatest library in the world. So if I want to do something, all I got to do is, like the Matrix, take my little cap, shove it on, and go bump, 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 bump. Look at my different informations, connect the dots, come up with a plan. And it happens. I put the information in front of me. I go continue on with my day with all my chores, and I add that into my rotation. And then one day I'm waltzing around, the solution's in my mind, and I go create it. You got to just let it simmer back there and work all through it. I'm not the fastest thinker, I'm not the fastest dancer either. I don't do well. I don't do well when I get hit with somebody who talks over me and talks fast. That's why, you push a button and they would just go somewhere else, transport them away. Go away. You're not letting me process what you're saying. Plus, generally when someone does that, they're deceiving. So, buckshot? Yes. There we go, man. You got to share the wealth. Well, thank you. Got to share the wealth, man. As soon as I saw that number go up there, I said, hey, yeah, I know what to do with that. There we go. So, thanks for showing up, Buckshot. God bless you, and may the lemons bless you. May you have a wonderful Christmas. I'm going to click off here. I've got to go get ready because I'm going to go away for the holiday. So I got 1,000 chores that I got to get done. The repairs went well yesterday for getting the automation back up with the water distribution. That's important. Everything, if I can automate it, I'm going to automate it, man, because it's the greatest thrill. Yeah, man. Trap doors for mice. Drop into buckets, man. They walk the plank. Anyway, God bless you all. Merry Christmas to you, Buckshot, and may you find riches in the new year. And please, I hope that the Democrats are all just going to migrate out of Virginia, because Virginia is a projectile state and it's dangerous to be in Virginia. So, with that in mind, God bless the United States of America.
Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves.